Back once again for the renegade master. 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 Back once again for the renegade master.
Hello my renegades and welcome back, and we are back into Love is Blind series 2. We are now on episode 3. I'm gonna have to take a raw deep breath for this one because my god, all the shits and shenanigans went on in this episode. Like seriously, it did. Oh Lord have mercy, I don't even know where to flipping start. But before we get into this episode, as I always ask, please hit that subscribe button, please hit that notification button so we know I'm doing videos. Please comment, like, share and do the good things that you do, because I continue to be on the road to 1k. So we're going to be left off with the shittery that is going to happen between Sophie and Kieran. Okay, I don't think he's going to be able to talk himself out of this one. Definitely was not going to be able to talk himself out of this one. In the women's quarters, Sophie is giving full-on screw face. I don't know if it's the edits, but it's making me think that she does not like Megan at all. But I'm just kind of like, you know what? You signed up for this. This is what you have signed up for in terms of getting to know people, in terms of hopefully getting to find your one in order for them to propose to you at the end of the day. And you're going to go through gammuts of emotions and shit and all sorts, do you know what I mean? But it's going to be for you to have that little rigid backbone in terms of what it is that you'll accept and what it is that you won't accept at the end of the day. And this is why people of Sophie's disposition should not enter into shows like this. Like, definitely not. But also, on the flip side, Megan is definitely showing off and showing out. Like, seriously, she is. Sophie is basically saying that she feels rejected in terms of the fact that she's opened up to Kieran. I'm still waiting for this girl to open up, because I'm kind of like, yes, you spoke about your dad. Yes, you spoke about your relationship with your mum and how that occurred and how that has shaped you in certain ways. But the dates that I've seen between Kieran and Sophie, they haven't gone past the superficial level at all for me at the end of the day. She says she's not mad about the gift, but in a sense she is mad about the gift that was given to Megan, because at the end of the day, as she said, it was fought for. He sprayed his scent on it, yeah, and we all know what that connotation meant. From when a man sprays his scent on something and gives it to a woman, you know what they mean by that at the end of the day. So I believe that Sophie is valid in her upsetness, but she can't make it out like she didn't have a hand, yeah, in where the wind was blowing to, because she did. She didn't try with Kieran. She really did not try with Kieran. Kieran definitely knew what was going to go down. He must have known what was going to go down in taking the action that he did, because the same way the men chat over in the men's lounge with each other is the same way the women in the women's quarters will do. So he knew there was going to be a fallout at some point. So my thought is that he was making a statement without essentially telling Megan or definitely Sophie about where his mind was at, but he made sure he knew where his mind was at when he sent that gift, because he knew what it was going to cause. There ain't no maybes, ifs or buts about it. He knew what it was going to cause once he sent that freaking flying into the freaking penthouse at the end of the day. It was kind of awkward, yeah, because I think the producers were producing, yeah, in terms of leveling this out, because it was quite odd that Megan and Sophie found themselves awkwardly sitting on sofas next to each other while all the other girls went out to go on dates. Yeah, if that wasn't a producer setup, I don't know what was. Okay, so Sophie's basically telling Megan that she doesn't want Megan to feel uncomfortable with the whole Kieran thing, but she felt disrespected by this man. But my thing is the issue is not with Megan at the end of the day. The issue is with Kieran and the action that he took. So, yes, Kieran, she's probably thinking, didn't think of the aesthetic of the gift giving, but I think he did. He knew what he was going to do. He knew how it was going to come across at the end of the day. So naturally, as a girl would, as Megan would, you're going to come into that room all excited and share exactly what the hell had happened in that day and the gift that he gave you. But then on the flip side, as I said previously, I believe that Megan was very much aware that Kieran was seeing Sophie. And then you kind of have to wonder, what all the peacocking was about and whose benefit it was for, really. Was it really just full on excitement on Megan's part, or was it really just her letting the other girl know that, you know what, this is where I'm at with your man at the end of the day? So now Sophie is going in with I felt the divide and conquer mentality when she was speaking to Megan, because she's questioning to Megan, like, you know, what is it that he's saying to you and what is it that he's saying to me? Because she felt like, you know, he was saying the same things to both of them. He kind of was, but not in the way that she means it, because he was asking them the same questions to see what type of answer he would get back from each of them, to be able to decide where it is and what road or what avenue he's going to go down, basically. Megan's looking like she ain't really bothered. She's not too bothered by this conversation because her facial expressions are saying it all. They seem to say, honey, like, I really don't care what you have to say at the end of the day, but I will let you get it out. At the end of the day, Kieran made the gesture towards Megan and not Sophie. Sophie understandably is going to be pissed about that, but if the shoe was on the other foot, yeah, and Sophie came out there all excited, she ain't gonna give a shit about Megan. She ain't gonna give two hoots about Megan's feelings either. So do you know what? It's dems are the breaks in these types of shows. They really are. So when Megan's talking to the camera, she's talking about how she felt finding out that Kieran had a connection with Sophie surprised her. So I was like, you really, really well and truly didn't know this beforehand, because I don't see how that could be possible at the end of the day. The games and the competition is probably well and truly going to be started now at the end of the day, because women can be petty. They literally can be petty, especially when it's after something that they want. Megan says that she wants to be able to have this chat with Kieran about Sophie and what went down between those two. So we go to Jed and Barda and they have another date, and you can honestly see the honest to God connection between these two. Like, she says she wants to go deep, and then she talks about tattoos. He says that he has none, but when they have children, he would more than likely want to get a family one done, which she's very, very happy about. Barda talks about, like, her family migrating to the UK due to the war that happened where she was living. She does go deep into how this impacted her family, because she didn't speak a word of English. Neither of them spoke a lick of English, and it was about watching her dad go out and to work and try and integrate himself within a community that he didn't necessarily know nothing about. She talks about how the fact that she did start working when she was 13 years old, and basically she was making sure that her family were okay too during that. So she's always had the sense of, I know how to look after myself and I know how to look after others, and family is everything to her as it is to Jed. But what I'm finding in this season with some of the women, yeah, is that they are definitely independent. They know what they want. They have been working and living adult lives since they were young, yeah, and this is what would have shaped them into who they are today, basically. So I would be saying that any man stepping up to these type of women need to recognize that they ain't no shrinking violence at the end of the day, and don't necessarily need a man to rescue them, but want a man to sharing their life at that moment in time. They don't want someone to come in and take over and think they know best, because these women ain't stupid. I do like Jed and Barda's communication. They're open, they're honest with each other, and I do hope it works out well for them. I just hope that Jed isn't of the temperament like to try and change Barda in any way, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm getting good girl vibes from Barda. I really am. So then we get to see Cal and Sarova meet. Cal is dressed in traditional Asian wedding attire, and let me say, the man looked handsome. I ain't gonna lie, the man looked handsome in his get-up. Like, Cal talks about how he's truly fallen in love with Sarova, but he hasn't let her know that yet. The first meeting, when the doors went back, was kind of lukewarm. Like, it took them a few seconds to actually move forward to each other, because they were just literally like, oh my God, the nerves did kick in for both of them. And he does officially ask her, and she does say yes. Sarova likes him. She believes that he is gorgeous, which I will concur with her. He is gorgeous. And they just really sit on that bench and stare at each other. So Cal does say he wants to say something important to her, and he said, I love you. And Sarova basically did say, I love you back. And I'm just like, all of these I love yous just coming out of the woodwork in this season of Love is Blind UK, because I'm like, Will they be saying that in the weeks to come? That is the question. So we see Patrick and Anu have another date. Patrick is basically saying that he's excited to explore one with Anu. Again, as I've said previously, I don't get the vibe from these two at all. Patrick, to me, knows exactly what to say, and I really don't think he answers questions. He just circles around it and then comes back through the middle. But Anu is liking what he's saying, but on screen he does come across as really like wooden to me at the end of the day. So Anu talks about herself. And even though she talks about her singing accolades and who she sang with in terms of being a backup singer with Rod Stewart, she says that she doesn't like to be braggish, and she doesn't like to be overly like putting herself up there. She's quite a humble person. Patrick didn't like that at all. Patrick was basically saying that society tells you to be humble and stuff like that. But it's not about society at the end of the day who tells you that she... Because in my opinion, no one likes an arrogant arse at the end of the day, or someone that just brags about things or thinks they are better than. Being humble is a good trait, in my opinion, at the end of the day. So for Patrick to say what he says, sometimes I kind of think, does he actually listen to what it is that he's saying and he's putting out there? Anu is looking very, very confused by what Patrick's saying at the moment, and tells him, like, you know, I want people to judge me for myself and not what I have accomplished. Again, Patrick does not like this, and they're literally falling out of alignment. I don't even think they're in alignment to begin with anyway, but we shall move on. And something tells me that there is a proper disconnect with Patrick when it comes to reality at times. And this is one of those times, because without humility, yes, I'm going to say that a person can be an arrogant, selfish, think you're better than everyone, braggart arse at the end of the day. And that's in my opinion. As people that I have met that have not been humble are not nice people. They're not nice people, no matter how Patrick is trying to package it that you don't have to be humble in this life. Yeah, those types of people are not necessarily nice people. And if that's how Patrick sees himself to be, this is why I say that Patrick knows exactly what to say, and I think he's paying lip service and doesn't necessarily listen to the words that are coming out of his mouth. So Patrick quickly moves on and asks Anu like how she would react if like her family rejected him. For me, I would have to say, if my whole family, especially those that I'm very close to in my family, have reason to reject you, the person that I'm with, then it's going to be for a bloody good reason at the end of the day. It's going to be for a good reason, and it's going to make me question our connection and our relationship. So for him to then turn around and not be pleased by Anu saying, like, you know, her mother being her best friend. So basically, if her mum was not feeling Patrick, she would have to listen to her mum. Yeah, I think that was an unfair question to ask, because I don't know why Patrick did not think that, you know what, most people will go with what it is that their family are saying, and not to please their family, but their family must be seeing something that they're not. So it's just a madness for him to ask that question of her. So Patrick says he loves his people, but if they said to him, yeah, that they didn't like Anu, he would not listen to them. But my thing is, your family is looking out for you. They won't say shit unless they really need to say shit. If they're not being spiteful, do you know what I mean? If something ain't right to them, shouldn't they be able to hear it with the person? Oh, it doesn't mean that you have to action what it is that they say, but you've at least got to listen to what it is that they say, and then look out for those issues for yourself, and then make a decision as to whether you're gonna cut loose or keep steady at the end of the day. So yeah, I mean, that was not very spiritual of Patrick, really, was it? At the end of the day, I'm telling you, what Patrick says and what he does are two completely different things. Yeah, and this is the part of his personality that's coming out, that's telling me that these two are just not. They're not going to gel, they're not going to align, they're not going to connect with each other. I think it's more about face value and superficial thinking for me at the end of the day. And I think that's more so from Patrick's side than it is from Anu's side. So he's basically saying that, you know, Anu shouldn't want the approval of people, and to do something like that is such a low vibration. I mean, I didn't hear Anu say she wanted approval from nobody. She just said she would listen to her mom. If she was saying that this is not right for her, she weren't doing it. She wouldn't end the relationship because she was doing it to please her mother. It ain't about approval, mate. Sometimes, as I've been watching this, Patrick to me just comes off a little sanctimonious, to be honest. And as I've said, there's just something about him that I don't necessarily like. So Patrick is there talking about, for 30 years of his life, he was only living to please people. I was like, mate, for majority of your years of your life, you was a freaking child. So you'd have to please people. Jesus, you'd have to do what they said because you were a pissing child. He talks about it wasn't until he found his spirituality when he started to be selfish in a good way. And yes, you can be selfish in a good way at times, but I don't think Patrick is selfish in a good way. I really don't. As his whole statement is saying, this is your life, Patrick, and you need to start doing things your way and live on your terms. Now that says it all to me at the end of the day, and I think Anu at this point literally needed to run for the hills, because yeah, Patrick is not it. He really isn't. Even Anu is sitting there with a frown upon her face because she's listening to what this man is saying, and she is just literally confused to hell and back. And I'm like, this man is just chatting straight up guff, absolute straight up guff. So Anu is talking after the date, and she talks about how she felt confused by the whole date. She said it was going well at first, and now she says she's not sure if they were in alignment. I thought, mate, you and Patrick were never in alignment. Anu needs to listen to her gut and not go down that rabbit hole with Patrick at the end of the day. Even Patrick noticed a dip and said his spleen is silent and he doesn't know what it is saying. I says, well, ain't that a fucking surprise right there? Maybe it's saying, leave Anu alone, you are not right for her, but Patrick don't want to listen to it. That's probably what it's saying. Jesus, what? These people are liable to make your brain hurt right about now. Like, seriously, I've never in all my life, like, seriously, never in all my life. I really don't know where to find some of these people from for these shows, I tell ya. So now it looks like Damola wants Katisha. So I'm kind of like, he needs to make his move with her at the end of the day, as I do want Damola and Katisha to be together. I don't want it to be Javin. I really don't. So Damola and Keisha have a date. All I'm hoping is she doesn't mess about with him and is straight to the point and truthful in her decision making with him. So they do have a good date. They do connect. He brought her flowers. Like, if she wants to get past picking the same men, she needs to pick Damola. That's what she needs to do. He made a little ditty for her and it was kind of good. It did make me giggle and it did make me laugh. He asked her like directly how she feels about them, and she says there is a connection and it's thrown a spanner in the works. And I'm just kind of like, Katisha, please pick Damola. Like, seriously. Katisha says that she's struggling with the amount of adoration that she's getting from Damola, and she doesn't know what to do with the feelings. And I'm like, my girl, if you've never had this before, fucking bask in it and let it in, for fuck's sake. Cherish it. And this is why Javin, as I said, will probably get her, because men like Javin is what she's used to. They know how to play the game. They know how to wheel and come back and pull that person back into existence with them. Do you know what I mean? So you see Katisha speaking to Bada about how she's feeling about Javin and Damola. And she talks about how she has two good connections. But I know which connection is good for her. We all know. And it's with Damola at the end of the day. She's not set on Damola because she thinks like it's too perfect. And she may be putting her worlds up. And this is why some people manage to let good things pass them by, because they don't believe that they deserve it. And I do feel for her for getting upset in regards to the trajectory of what's happening right now for her. But I believe Katisha thinks she's not worthy of what Damola is giving her, to be honest with her. And this is where she's going to fall back on her past patterns of picking people like fucking Javin. I need to take a breath. I really did, because boy, this episode did it for me. I'm telling you. So Sophie is full on in fight mode. She's in proper fight mode, yeah. And she's talking about how she's not going to be anybody's plan B. And I thought, this is why you shouldn't have been on Love is Blind at the end of the day, because this is the name of the game. You are always going to be a potential for a man in there because he is dating other people. He's dating a plethora of people, the same way the girls are dating a plethora of people. So, and sometimes it just so happens that they find two that they're connecting with, and they have to decide what it is the fuck they're going to do. Nobody's essentially a plan A or a plan B at the moment in time, but that's where Sophie has decided to place herself in that box at the end of the day. She keeps talking about how she was disrespected, but to me, essentially, I don't think she was full on disrespected. I understand that it hurt her in terms of the action that Kieran took, but her and Kieran were never defined. Kieran never defined anything with her and never defined anything with Megan. So I hope at this stage Kieran has definitely made his mind up of what he was going to do before he walks into that room. So Kieran and Sophie have a date. And Kieran comes in all friendly, like calling her Soph and all this, that and the other. Sophie's sitting there on that sofa ready and waiting to take this man's neck off. Let me just put it this way. And then she starts, yeah. So she starts with the gift that he gave Megan and how his actions were disrespectful towards her. And he'd made his intentions very much clear on the gift that he gave her and putting his scent on it, basically. And I thought, you know what, Sophie starters, you mean to go on at the end of the day? I'm glad she is showing that she is not a pushover, but I also think she was not built for something like Love is Blind at the end of the day. So Kieran did hit her with the, well, it's a social experiment and I'm going to give my all to that experiment, which is true. And this is why I say some people are not built with it, but he should have had the foresight to know what message he was putting out when he gave Megan that gift, knowing full well that she's going to go back in the women's quarters and share that gift with the women where Sophie is situated at the end of the day. So Sophie told him what he said was rude, basically, and Kieran says he made a strong connection elsewhere. I mean, Sophie came in to do battle, so this is where I think she lost Kieran anyway, and Kieran lost her at the end of the day, because Sophie was literally saying, I ain't nobody's plan B. Sophie is all prepared to walk, basically. She ain't fighting for this situationship at all. So Sophie went full on defensive and told him, but you know that girl will come in there and talk, and how essentially that would make her look to others and their impression of her. And this is the problem. Sophie thinks too much of what others think and say about her at the end of the day. So she talks about what she brings to the table. And you know what? I really hate the what I bring to the table analogy. I hate it. It's old and it's worn. People should quit using it completely. So Kieran does apologise to Sophie about making her feel sad and disrespected. And that was not his intention at all. And this is why I say people need to be prepared for these eventualities at the end of the day, because someone will always be hurt in this process. It can't be helped. It's the way it's built. But you also have to be prepared to also have a thick skin and fight for it, fight for what you want, if that's what you well and truly want. It's not about being plan A. It's not about being plan B. If that's what you want, fucking fight for it. You know what I mean? Show this man who you are. Show this woman who you are. And if they don't go for you, then at least you know you tried. So Sophie doesn't accept that Kieran respects her, but she says that, like, you know, she wouldn't have done it to him because it's an absolute shitty feeling to have. And as I said, I do get where Sophie is coming from, but also, again, it's Love is Blind. Connections will be formed with more than one person, and it's how you deal with that. What I will do, though, is I have to give it to Sophie, though, because she stood on business with ensuring Kieran knew who he was dealing with, and she had her boundaries set. She would not allow for him to cross those. So I do give her props with how she's handling the situation at hand. So then she leaves and Kieran's just left there on the sofa basically blowing out air. And I'd have to say it kind of serves him right, to be honest with you, because he should have thought about what it would be like when he did that with Megan. But I do believe subconsciously he was letting Sophie know that he didn't want her and what his choice was going to be. He should have been big boy enough to literally call Sophie into a room to let her know exactly what he's going to do with Megan, because that is where his choice is going to lie, because he's formed a more bigger connection with her than he had with Sophie. That would have been more respecting wise to do it, but he didn't. So as Sophie's leaving the room, you see Megan follow behind her and she's like, oh, how did it go? So she ends up telling Megan that she ended it with Kieran, basically. And then in Kieran's video discussion, he said he knew when he gave Megan the gift, it would have repercussions. So again, as I've said, he already knew what he was doing when he was doing it. He just pussied out in telling Sophie exactly how he felt about her at the end of the day. So she did go into the women's quarters and Sophie did cry, but she then said fuck it and was ready to leave, and she did leave. And as I said, I do feel for her, but this show was not built for her at the end of the day. She does say that going forward she's not scared to allow someone in, but she didn't really seem to let Kieran in an awful lot, to be honest with you, and it was probably a good job. So Patrick says, like, you know, he wants to try with Anu again. They both do say that the part of the date was not good, which did give Anu cause for caution, to be cautious. Patrick and his spleen says he doesn't want to see anyone else but her, basically. Anu, you can tell, is a little bit standoffish, as again, I don't see it with them. I don't. So Patrick is looking forward to getting to know Anu, as he told her, because he wants to be more curious about her. And Anu says, in regards to getting to know him, I don't know. I guess I will be myself. I was like, okay, and what else? Being yourself is great and all. Like, seriously, it is. But what does that mean in marriage? What are you bringing of yourself? Jesus. Their discussions are confusing as hell. That's all I'm going to say, because Patrick is the one that gabs. Anu is the one that is always sitting there with a confused fucking look on her face and doesn't know which way to go or which way to turn. She tries to do right, but she always comes out wrong at the end of the day. I think their level of connection just at this point feels forced to me. Patrick, in response to Anu's question on where he sees himself with her, he says he definitely sees something with them, otherwise he wouldn't be there. And if he didn't want to take the next step, and the next step for him would be a proposal. And he turned to Anu, just as she's putting freaking great big sushi in her mouth. What would she want that? Anu's response, she's eating sushi. She can't respond. And he was like, what, is that not something you want? And I'm like, dude, she's got sushi in her mouth, and she does tell him she's got sushi in her mouth. So Patrick continues with, we don't have a lot of time and I have to trust my instinct. For him, that something is going to bring him to her. Again, Anu, I think, is really confused by this question, by this conversation, and by Patrick. And I'm just like, at this point, I don't know which way is up or down with this dude, to be honest with you. I don't even think they should contemplate engagement, because they are so off kilter with each other. Like, there's no alignment in sight at all for them two. So he is really wanting Anu to sing for him, and she really does not want to right now. So she does say no, which is disappointing for Patrick. But my guess is I don't think she's that comfortable with him in order to share that part of herself with him. Patrick kind of sees that the connection with Anu has gone and the energy is just not there. And it's what I've been saying from the very first episode. I don't get anything from them at all. And I don't think they should forge ahead anymore. So then we have Katisha, but continuing to be up and down about her connections with Javan and Damola. And you lot know who I wish for her to be. You really do. Katisha and Javan have a date. And before Katisha goes into that date, she's basically wanting assurances from Javan in regards to where it is that they're at. I don't think he can give assurances for anything at the end of the day, because for me, Javan is just literally one of these offbeat player kind of guys, to be honest with you. He may not believe that he is, but he's definitely into playing games, and he doesn't really put himself out there, to be honest. So she asked Javan like how he feels about their connection, and Javan, of course, doesn't really answer the question. He's very blasé, and what will be kind of answer. I think this is how Javan skates by. As he said, he don't compete for no woman, but he ain't above playing games, and this is what he's doing now. So Katisha says, okay, so you're playing it cool. And he says, I can't play it any other way. And what irks me most about this man is every single serious moment, he always has to smile. He's always blasé. He doesn't take it fucking seriously in the slightest, is what I'm saying. She directly asked Javan, essentially, they both think that the connection is strong. Why does he not put his cards all on the table? My thing is, I shouldn't have to ask for that at the end of the day. You shouldn't have to ask for that. The person who says that they have this connection with you should be able to give you a reassurance and showing you and putting their cards on the table in regards to you, if that is really what they want and who they want, yeah. So I think from that point on, from when Katisha has said that, yeah, Javan knows that she wants to be reassured by him. So Javan is literally going to say exactly what it is that she wants to hear in order to win out from Damola. Because don't forget, he knows Damola is making a play for Katisha too. So he asked her, if I did that, if I gave you this reassurance or put my cards all on the table, would that help you at the end of the day? What would it do for you? Katisha basically said that she's not sure. So this tells me as well that this man knows how to pull and push this girl's emotions to make her literally think she can make a decision, but then whip that decision away from her to make her be all up in the freaking air, because he does do this, and we'll get to that very, very soon. He says he doesn't want to be vulnerable with Katisha because he's got his barriers up. And then he talks about a little situation or scenario that he had when he dated quite young, and where he says he became vulnerable and this girl ended it with him, but he already knew it was coming that way and it affected him. He doesn't necessarily talk about how he behaved within that relationship and why it came to an end or anything like that. He's literally again skating over the truth. Yeah, he basically says that he does not trust easily, and this is why I think Javan right now knows exactly what to say and how he will say it for Katisha to listen to it and hear it. Basically, if it helps him, he will play those games. That's the impression that I'm getting from this dude. So he does ask Katisha how he feels about her other connection. Katisha did bring it up, but I must say, at the end of the day, and speaking about another connection, for me is a no-no. Because at the end of the day, it's not fair to the person that you are connecting with besides the person that you're talking to, yeah. But Katisha, of course, had to give him an insight, had to give him the play, and talked about Damola and how he expresses himself and how he makes these grand gestures. So Katisha is saying this, yeah, to put Javan on blast, because I think with that, she expected him to do what it is that Damola is doing too, yeah. And I'm confused as to why she would share what Damola does in their dates between them, yeah. It's nice she's given Javan a heads up on it and what it is that Damola does, and that's not fair to Damola at the end of the day. So she talks about Javan like expressing himself differently, and as he said, that's because they are two different men at the end of the day. But there are ways to get answers that she seeks with it, instead of doing the comparison game, because I think she was comparing between Javan and Damola at the end of the day. So Javan, again, for me, gives off an air of arrogance and blasé as he laughs at the grand gestures comments that she makes. And she basically says it's not him, grand gestures are not him. And I'm like, we know, mate. We know charm can't give you everything though at the end of the day. So Katisha, as I said, is not getting what she wanted from Javan, and I knew there would be no reassurance from him at all. This man is way too arrogant and too closed off for that at the end of the day. He said, if I am not your number one, then that's the way the cookie crumbles. But he didn't want her to be burdened with doubt. It is what it is at the end of the day, and said to her, you have to go with what you feel comfortable with, which is true. Katisha knows that Javan is the usual type of guy that she goes for, and she's already said she wants to get away from her usual type because it doesn't normally work out. So why is this girl having angst over a type that she said she wants to get away from? And this is why you don't speak about the connections that you have with other people to the person that you're dating, Because you see how Javin is a little evil little shit. Yeah, because this man went back into the men's quarters, laughing and talking about the date that he had with Katisha, and then said, like, she talked about her other connection basically, and he's been giving her grand gestures, and then basically akined it to love bombing her. And I thought that was awful of Javin to do. And you could see he was talking so loudly, and Damola was not that far away, and he could overhear every single word, because that's what Javin wanted. That's what Javin wanted to do. And you could see that the comment about the love bombing hurt Damola, because he doesn't know what the fuck Katisha has says to Javin, and if that's the impression that she's provided him with at the end of the day. So to be fair, Javin is an insensitive and inconsiderate asshole at the end of the day. I don't like him. I really don't like him. Just because someone is in touch with their emotional side and wants to show that person that they're starting to have a connection with or fall in love with, that this is how they're feeling, and they do that by gift giving, flowers, this, that and the other, that may be their love language. That may be their love language. So that does not mean that Damola is not living in reality. That does not mean that he's speaking on fairy tales and this, that and the other is how Javin is seeing it at the end of the day. He's just very in touch and very in tune as to what it is that he wants to present and put out there as his best self to the person that he may be falling in love with. So that kind of tells me that Javin doesn't know how to treat a woman. Javin doesn't know love at all, or knows how to show emotion or that type of feeling towards women, unless it's to get him something and somewhere. So you see Kieran and Megan have a date, and basically she wants to talk about what happened with Sophie, because she kind of felt that she was in the middle of something she didn't know she was in the middle of. And Kieran said that he should have been more honest with Megan. Yeah, he should have been more honest with Megan and with Sophie at the end of the day. So he basically said that he only wants this journey to be with Megan. Well, he has no damn choice, because Sophie left. Sophie left, yeah. And he knew that he wanted Megan from the time that he gave her that gift. And he should have given Sophie the heads up at the end of the day prior to doing it, so she wouldn't have felt so flipping stupid and disrespected in front of everyone else. Kieran didn't see that connection at all, because Kieran knew what the risk was, and he took it anyway, and he didn't really care about the fallout. He didn't care about the fallout or how it would impact Sophie at the end of the day. And, you know, he didn't consider that, you know, these are real people that you're dealing with real people feelings, and they will get hurt by your actions. Of course, Megan is happy, because that's what Kieran gave her, that reassurance. It's what she needed. Kieran carries on waxing poetic, says that he's falling for Megan. But I really think if Sophie didn't react in the way that she reacted, yeah, and she decided to fight for Kieran, he would not be saying what he's saying to Megan right now. Yeah, let's just put it that way. So you see Jed and Barda have a date, and I have to say I do love these two together. I really do. They are both fully connecting with each other, and she's very smitten with him as well. She's basically, when they came in, gave him a word search that she made herself and Lebanese food, and they do have fun with each other. And she had put like one extra word in within that word search, and it says falling in love. And he basically turns around to her, is this you telling me how you kind of feel about me? And she does do a little giggle and says, well, yeah, maybe, sort of thing. And as again, like, he's feeling the same things as he says that she's feeling for him, so he validates her feelings basically. And all I'm gonna say is I've never seen so many I love yous bandied about in this season of Love Is Blind ever in my life. It's literally spinning me on a real one, let me tell ya. So Damola is talking to someone in the men's quarters who he's quite close with, and he's getting ready to go on a date with Katisha basically, and he's very nervous, and I'm not surprised, as he's worried about what she may have possibly been saying to Javin. I says, Javin's playing games. That's why he said what he said, to get into Damola's head at the end of the day. Katisha needs to make up her mind right now, is what I was saying, because it's getting ridiculous. Because if I was Damola, I would definitely bring up what Javin said about the love bombing sheet, because that was out of order, to be honest with you. Damola says that he will go through it with Katisha, and if it ain't it, then it ain't meant to be for both of them. But I want it to be Damola so bad. So Katisha and Damola have a date. and he basically did set up like a little Spanish flags, and he gave us sangria and some other foods as well. And Damala was basically telling Katisha that he wants her to believe in him. Damala says that he couldn't sleep, and as he wants to say to her that he is a very genuine person, and all he's wanting out of life is a life partner, a best friend, and he feels that she fits that mold for him basically. So he lays his heart on the line to her. She does go into the fact that she does have another connection, and he is very much aware of that. So he does ask her, as did Javan, how she felt about that connection, and basically she said she doesn't know how she feels about that connection, and that she hadn't decided yet. And I'm kind of like, well, time is ticking on, and it's not fair to keep Damala hanging on. So Damala actually shot his shot basically with Katisha, and I thought, well, what are you going to do now in that scenario? I will say her facial expressions, were not selling me that she entirely feels the same way about Damala, and I'm really confused as to why she would go for Javan, who shows her nothing at all. It doesn't make sense to me. He says, like, Damala says that he's halfway to falling in love with her basically, and he ends up speaking life into Katisha and tells her, you deserve it all, and don't think it's something she doesn't deserve, because she does. And this is what I think turns Katisha's mind, because I think she will go for the Javans of this world, believing she doesn't deserve more in terms of what it is that Damala is showing her and providing to her at the moment. Katisha says that she feels her decision has been made, and I was like, oh my god, kind of all kinds of musical harps, angels' voices were going off in my head, because I was like, oh my god, she's made a decision. Oh Lord. So Damala asked her, can you see yourself falling in love with me? And she said, I think so. She did give him reassurances, and she said that she could see working between them. And I just thought, I hope to God you don't let this man down. That's all I am saying. So she was basically knew what she was going to do, and she was going to end things with Javan. She really was going to end things with Javan. I was like, yes, it's time to let this this man go. It's time to let him go. Damala said that he ain't giving Javan no heads up when he went back into that headquarters. And I'm like, good. He don't need the drama. Let Katisha do what she needs to do. Maybe it would have been a good idea for Damala to actually give Javan the heads up to say that this gal was going to end it with your backside because she'd made her decision. And then what am I going to say? And then the way that date would have probably would have went down different to how it went down, because boy sir, Katisha weak in the backside, so she goes on to her date with Javan. This is after she's told the girls in the women's lounge that that's it, she's made her choice, she's going with Damala, she's going with the man that shows her exactly what she wants, not with the other one. She was so set sure that this was going to be her choice. She walks in that room. Why are there a bouquet of flowers on the table? Why are there a bouquet of flowers on the table? Like, seriously? I was like, fuck off, Javan. Like, serious? Now he's being serious about wanting to take next steps with Katisha because all he sees is Katisha. I was like, my girl, please don't break the choice that you made. Please don't do this. Like, seriously, he said to, I'm glad you like the flowers because I'm trying to lock something in. Who talks like that? Who in the hell talks like that? I mean, that tells me he only got her the flowers to make a power move against Damala. So it is more about winning for him, as he said he is competitive. Does he truly want Katisha, or is this just a competition for him right now? Katisha tells him that, she starts off strong. I'll give her that. She started off strong. The connection she has is more stronger than she anticipated. It ultimately came down to how Damala made her feel. This is the quietest that I'd seen Javan, but he still had that dirty smirk on his face, and I thought, I know what's coming next. I really want to truly know what's coming next. It was awkward. The date was awkward, And Javan actually said, I thought I made my intentions clear. I was like, mate, if those were clear, I don't know what was fucking muddled at the end of the day. Cause what? He made no intentions known when it came to Katisha, yeah. He was always so blasé and skated over every rotted thing. When he had the chance to reassure this girl that he wanted her, he didn't do it, yeah. So she said to him, you don't have to stay if you don't want to. He replied, you have already broken my heart. This is with a smirk on his face. So this man was not being serious. Let me just put it that way. So I will stay and enjoy my drink. This man is a dickhead. This man is a full-on fucking dickhead. He smiled. He smirked. He didn't show no broken heart. It was more about bravado over here, yeah. It was more about, I'ma play this game to the motherfucking hilt and see if I can get you to change your mind. That's where that was coming from. He did the motherfucking bare minimum and thought he would come out on top, yeah. He made Katisha feel like she was in that little talk, yeah. He could have just left that room and left her to her decision, but he didn't because he knew that he could one angle away of some sort of something. So he did stay. He did start enjoying his drink. And then he decided that he was going to read his notes he made in relation to Katisha over the past week. And this is why Katisha should have left the room after she said what she had to say. So now she's allowing him the space to mess with her rotted head all over again, yeah. He didn't do grand gestures before because he didn't feel it was necessary. But he still felt like Katisha was the one and that he needed to know where her head was at now that they're in this space together. And then he will go from there. I was like, Katisha, can't you read through the motherfucking lines? Read the room. This man is not above playing games and messing with your rotted head right about now. She should have left the room. She should have. After she said what she said and she made the decision she did, she should have left the room. But this tells me that Katisha was honestly not sure in her decision. That she allowed this man to literally bump her rotted head. Like, seriously bump her rotted head, yeah. So he reeled her back in with the playbook 1-on-1. Let me just put it that way. Yeah. So now Katisha is saying that she is disconnected from her decision in terms of picking Damola. Yeah. And she said she thought she knew what she wanted before she came in the room. Now that she is there, she's not exactly sure. I was sat there like, my girl, what? Really? What? And then she used the excuse like it was down to her connection to Javin. I was like, oh, piss off with that. Hit the road, Jack. No fucking way. I mean, I was like, you know what? Rebuke. I'm rebuking Katisha and Javin both. I'm rebuking both of them, yeah. Katisha don't deserve Damola. I'm sorry, she don't. She really don't. Javin then had all the audacity to say, I can't propose to someone who doesn't want to be proposed to. What in the actual fuckery of gaming dumb is this? Like, seriously, what level of evil sorceress is this man playing right now? He's the evil boss on level 10. Like, seriously, well and truly. My God. So this girl literally sat there, let this man screw with her head 6 ways to Sunday. All I'ma say is she needs to take Javin and be gone. Just take the man and be gone. Don't mess around with Damola no more, yeah. Because, yeah, once she hits the fan, once she pick that man, and she goes through the process and realizes how much of a shitter this man is, yeah, that's on her. I'm sorry, that is on her. So, Javin then goes to the men's quarters. Not too very much chatty this time around, but still enough of a arrogant shit to laugh and joke, you know, and say, and then turn around and say, well, she will have to propose to me. I'm not making, and if not, I'm taking my arse home, bro. I told you this man was playing games. Yeah. And Katisha really falling back into her pattern of behaviour in picking men that are not for her. I just can't you know what? This show ain't built for her either, because boy, she needs to go work on herself. Like seriously, her self-esteem, confidence, the lot, everything. She needs to go work on that, because why? Like seriously, why? So Kieran, you see, is all about Megan and talking about she's his person, she's his one. So Kieran and Megan have a date. Megan gives him a poem. It went bad, but it reminded me of senior school antics at the end of the day. He told her he loved her and asked her to marry him. Megan said yes, and the next couple we have is Megan and Kieran. So then now we go back to Anu and Patrick. So Anu is sitting in the women's quarters and she's actually wrote Patrick a song, basically. But she wants to show Patrick that she, like, you know, she is there for him in that sense. Patrick, when he's talking to himself, is not feeling the way he wants to feel. So basically we shall have to see how it goes when they do have a date, and if Anu gets to finally sing for him. As they both know, I think this date is like make or break for them, to be honest with ya. So Anu and Patrick go and have the date. So the man was actually happy at first that Anu had like written him a song and that he will get to hear her sing. So she talks about how it's been hard for her to write and doing this type of thing. And she said it's the connection that they have which has encouraged her to write. And I'm like, what connection is she speaking of right now? Because I don't see it, and I'm going to keep saying that until the cows come home at the end of the day. So Anu asked Patrick if he wanted to hear her song. This man went deathly quiet and didn't know what to say. And I'm like, yeah, this ain't it. And this ain't it with them two at all. And Anu almost desperately shouts, do you want to hear the song? And I'm like, oh, so now you need to get these words out. I think she wants that ring out of this, and there is absolutely no one else within this process for her to do it with. So she set her sights on Patrick, but I still don't think that they're a good match at all. So basically he said he wants to hear it, but when I asked you to sing previously, you said no. Why? And basically she said that she wanted it to be from the heart, and he said that he really felt that. I don't think so. I really feel that Anu was not comfortable enough with Patrick to be able to open that part of herself up to him, and that's why she didn't want to sing for him at the end of the day. So I think Anu in this instance was not being very honest with Patrick. He then says, I don't want you to give me a song to someone who is undeserving of that song. And I thought, here it goes with the confusion, because the confusion set back in for Anu. I knew kind of what he was saying, because the thing of it is if I'd asked you to sing me a song, if we're connecting in that way and you don't want to sing for me even though you've told me you're a singer, then I know you're not comfortable enough to be able to let that part of yourself out. So why are you then going to go away when you know the connection and the alignment is bad between us? Go and do this whole song, this little ditty or cheeky little song or whatever what you call it, then come back to want to sing it to me, yeah, when previously you said, oh, it wouldn't be from the heart. What's changed now? Because nothing has necessarily changed between them at the end of the day. So Patrick makes a speech that sounds like he's going to end things between him and Anu. And basically he does turn around and says that he has to follow his spleen. Him and his fucking spleen, man. Like, seriously. So that's where that episode ended, and I'll be back in quick succession with the next episode as soon as I can, my people. Anyway, as I always ask my renegades and all those that do come in and enjoy my content, please hit that subscribe button, please hit that notification button so we know I'm doing videos. Please comment, like, share and do the good things that you do, because I continue to be on the road to 1K. Peace out.